What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden here. Hopefully, everyone is doing extremely well. I am most certainly doing well today, and that is because the Mets finally got a series win. So, definitely took about time, but hey, we actually come onto the stream somewhat positive than I guess the usual. But yeah, what is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden here. Hopefully, everyone is doing extremely well today on this nice afternoon. We got some great stuff to talk about in today's stream. Of course, we are going to be going over the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates series summary, pretty much summarizing, as per usual, the good, the bad, and the ugly observations made from that series. And then, of course, we are going to be going over the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals series preview. So, previewing that series, what we could expect for both of these teams on the pitching side, on the offensive side, everything as per whole. We are going to be going over the Mets farm system, Mets roster, Mets injuries, MLB news, Mets news, and of course, your guys' comments, questions, and concerns. So, as per usual, if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, please feel free to drop them on in the comment section below. Before we get into everything in the stream, if you could give this stream a like, comment, subscribe, turn those post notifications. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers. That is the goal. And as per usual, if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, feel free to drop it on in the comment section below. I know it says Mets talk, but in reality, it's baseball talk. It doesn't have to be, solely based around the Mets. I know they haven't been super exciting lately, so there's other stuff we could talk about in regards to the Mets. Make things a little bit more interesting, I guess. But yeah, as per usual, like I said, let's stop wasting any more time and let's dive into this Mets and Pirates series. So, as stated, the Mets were fortunate enough to win the 3-game series from the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Mets were lucky enough and fortunate enough, definitely, to take 2 of 3 from the Pittsburgh Pirates at home. Mets had a decent homestand, a 10-game homestand, going 5-5. So honestly, I think considering how the Mets have been and how the rest of the season is going to pan out, and the guys you got playing, I think honestly it's kind of expected. So you will definitely take it, no doubt. So when it comes down to it, let's get into game 1, which was Monday's game, and the Mets won this game by a score of 7-2. Definitely a game that really had little nerves. Definitely not a nerve-wracking game. Getting things started, Carlos Carrasco was on the bump, and big surprise, Carrasco only goes 3 innings, giving up 4 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. I think it comes to the point where the Mets are kind of at the point in the season and, in the position of, what's the point of kind of dragging out your starters? Carrasco had 88 pitches, so I think that also was a reason he couldn't go longer into the game. But comes to the point of for what it's worth, what's the point of dragging out your starters? Yeah, I get it. I don't really think there's much of a reason to put a pitch count and pitch limit on Carrasco. I don't think the Mets plan on bringing him back next year by any means. So I was kind of intrigued to see what the point was on putting a pitch count limit on Carrasco. But yeah, definitely something that we saw. Kept the ball on the ground for the most part, obviously. Like I said, not many, didn't give up any home runs, not many barrels given up. So, I mean, it's good to see him really just keep the ball on the ground. And that's kind of just needs to be a ground ball merchant. His velo was up a little bit. We know that was kind of a concern in the beginning of the season, the velocity decrease as the game goes on, but his velocity's pretty much maintained steady. Like I said, I know it was 3 innings pitched, 88 pitches, but when he was throwing 70, 80 pitches, yeah, he honestly wasn't going that crazy overboard with his velo decrease. So you like to see that. Obviously, call to the bullpen. Tyson Miller came in for his Mets debut. 2 innings clean, only 2 walks, 31 pitches. So good to see him bulk up, eat those innings, get those pitches. Sam Coonrod came in for an inning, making his Mets debut. Hit, a walk, 2 strikeouts. He looked good. Bickford came in, an inning, a walk. Trevor Gott came in, 2 strikeouts for an inning. And then Adam Ottavino came in the 9th inning to record the final 3 outs, striking out 2. And Ottavino's actually been, don't want to jinx it, but he's actually been looking pretty decent lately. So, yeah, definitely exciting to see the Mets pitching staff, really just kind of show some life. Obviously lately it's been a rough position, but at the point of the season you're in, it's good to see your bullpen actually hold down the fort. Getting into the offense, obviously the offense was really where it was at. Obviously, getting things started in the first inning, Pete Alonso has an RBI double to left to bring in Brandon Nimmo. Heading on into the second inning, Daniel Vogelbach with some power. He has a Vogel blast and hits a solo home run to center. Heading on into the third inning, Jeff McNeil has an RBI single to left to bring in Francisco Lindor. In the fourth inning, Jonathan Aruz hits a two-run homer to right center to bring in himself and Rafael Ortega. In the fifth inning, Jeff McNeil hits a sacrifice fly to left to bring in Francisco Lindor. So, keyword sacrifice. The Mets have not been doing that a lot lately this season. So, good to see sacrifice flies, fundamental baseball, get the runners in, advance the runners. And then heading on into the sixth inning to cap it on top, Brandon Nimmo with the cherry on top. Brandon Nimmo has a solo home run to center, 387 feet. So offensively, the team showed up, 7 runs, 9 hits, only holding the Pirates to 2 runs and 5 hits. Mets win this game 7-2. Tyson Miller gets the win. Heading on into game 2 of this 3-game series. Tuesday's game, the Mets unfortunately were not able to seek out the win, but they battled, as Mick Callaway once said. Obviously, David Peterson was on the bump for the Mets, and Peterson kind of looked pretty bad. 3 2/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, a run, 6 walks, 5 strikeouts, 91 pitches. 41 of those were in the strike zone. I know also Peterson, like we said, keyword pitch count. Buck's really not pushing these guys, especially David Peterson. The last couple outings Peterson has thrown, he's only been throwing 2-3 innings max. We know that prior to the trade deadline, Peterson was being used out of the bullpen primarily, and he looked good when it came to command of the strike zone, control of the strike zone. Really having location on a slider, he was working out of the bullpen. And I don't know. Like I said, with Peterson, I don't know if it's a mental thing where if he's a starter, he has all this time to work himself up and think. And I don't know. Where bullpen, it's kind of last minute you're in. You don't have time to think and just go, 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 go. And I don't know if that's the thing. And I don't know if that's the thing with Peterson. Could not get his fastball location down. Kept throwing arm side. Fastball was not looking good. Location control was not there. Like I said, 6 walks, 3 2/3. You can't have that. So, like we said, when starters don't go deep into games, well, this is the stuff that happens. Following that, 2 2/3 innings pitched. Jose Butto came in. Kind of got to read the slash line in between. The first 2 innings he was pretty good. And then he went out for the 3rd inning and kind of struggled. 2 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. So you like to see Butto really grind, eat those innings. The strikeouts was very impressive. His velocity was up. He was touching like 97, 98. So kind of an interesting candidate. We didn't really see a lot of Jose Butto this season at all. We saw him a little bit last year, and still was a guy that was trying to develop. But you never know. The Mets are in a situation where they will take any pitching that's necessary. We know that the Mets are kind of not really going to go out and get all these, multi-million, $40 million AAV guys or pitchers, I should say. So you never know what Jose Butto could bring to the table. Obviously, not saying he's going to be this, key priority starter, but you never know at this rate, in the Mets' future, what Jose Butto could offer. Whether it's a bullpen role, whether it's a Trevor Williams 2.0 role. The Mets having a guy like Trevor Williams is definitely going to be needed. Any baseball club needs a Trevor Williams. And when I say Trevor Williams, it's, a guy that's technically not a starter, who's a reliever, but can go 5 innings. Your emergency starter, your number 6 starter, as I like to call it. Grant Hartwig came in, and he really blew it up. 2 hits, 3 runs, a walk, so no bueno for him. Drew Smith came in for an inning and a third, striking out 3, good outing from him. And then Brooks Raley came in for an inning, only giving up 1 hit, and he looked pretty good. But yeah, pitching struggled with the walks. Gave up 7 runs, 9 hits to the Pirates. Cannot walk that many guys and expect to win a ball game. Point blank, simple. Following that, in terms of the offense was quiet. They pounded back towards the end, but it was too late. Heading on in the first inning, leadoff home run by Brandon Nimmo to right, 392 feet. So good to see Brandon Nimmo with his 17th home run of the season, which ties his career high. So one more blast, and that'll be some history for Nimmo. And then heading on into the 7th inning, the Mets try to rally back, but couldn't fully execute at the job. In the 7th inning, DJ Stewart hits a 2-run home run to right field to bring in himself and Francisco Alvarez. And then following that at bat, back-to-back, Jonathan Aruz hits a solo home run to right. Jose Butto gets the loss. Mets lose this game 7-4. And heading on into the rubber game match, Game 3 of the final game of this 3-game set, yesterday's game, Wednesday, the Mets were fortunate enough to eke out the win against the Pirates. Mets win this game by a score of 8-3. Tyler McGill was on the bump, and tip of the cap to McGill. He's a guy who hasn't really had a whole lot of success this year, really struggled, gone up and down from AAA Syracuse to the major leagues. Just really a lot of complexities with him, whether it's his fastball, whether it's his stride, and came out as pretty decent. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, 95 pitches. The fact is, he was able to eke out the win. He went to qualify. And that's huge because, I mean, he got the double play balls that was needed. And like I said, any good pitcher, if you're a ground ball machine, if you're struggling, you get that double play. So really tip of the cap to Tyler McGill there for really getting those double play outs. His control of the strike zone wasn't great. Got into a lot of 3-2 counts. But like I said, the fact that he was getting these ground ball, double play ball outs is huge. So we will have to see how the future starts go for Tyler McGill. But he looked good. Called to the bullpen. Bickford came in for an inning, only giving up 2 hits a run. Brooks Raley came in for an inning, clean outing. Likewise goes for Trevor Gott. And then to close things out, Adam Ottavino goes an inning, only giving up 1 walk and 1 strikeout. So, yeah, we could really see that the Mets essentially, the bullpen continued to grind. The offense also came in support, as we could see offensively. Taking a look at the offensive side, the Mets scored 8 runs, getting things started in the 2nd inning. DJ Stewart is on a little bit of a power surge, and he hits a solo home run to right. Francisco Lindor, a couple at bats later, hits a 2-run opposite field single to left to bring in Omar Narvaez and Rafael Ortega. So good to see, Lindor, very clutch guy, bases loaded, 2 outs, and that's what you like to see. Clutch hitting with 2 outs, very important, something that this Mets team has lacked a lot this year. I mean, you could Google, the Mets in situations when it's bases loaded, nobody out to 2 outs, and the numbers are not that great. So, good to see Lindor come up to clutch there. Heading on into the 4th inning, Brandon Nimmo has an RBI single to left to bring in Rafael Ortega. Heading on into the 5th inning, DJ Stewart hits a 2-run homer for his 2nd homer of the day to bring in himself and Daniel Vogelbach. Heading on into the 7th inning, Pete Alonso hits a solo home run to left center, 389 feet. Line drive, left the ballpark in probably about 2 seconds for his 36th home run of the year. Also puts him top 10 in all-time RBIs for the New York Mets, surpasses Keith Hernandez on that list. So one legend goes to another legend, you could say. So you really like to see that. And then for the final run of this game, for the cherry on top, Rafael Ortega, also in the 7th inning, has an RBI single to center to bring in Jeff McNeil. So once again, really good to see this Mets team grind at bats. The bottom of the order really coming into clutch. We know that this is, offensively, it's kind of the point of the season where, the Mets are, I don't want to say not caring, but, they're giving guys bench role players, guys that potentially could be here next year on the bench, could have some part of an impact next year, giving those guys starts, whether that's a DJ Stewart, whether that's a Jonathan Aruz. Those aren't everyday players by no means, but those could be guys that somehow get time on the bench. Jonathan Aruz, he could be the next Luis Guillorme, obviously. You never know. I know a lot of people have said that coming into next year. He could be that, 9th inning defensive adjustment, pitch runner, pitch hitter for lefty on righty when it's way in the game, whatever. So it's good to see them get some reps. Obviously, it's not appealing, but I think it comes to the point where you're this far into the season. Well, this is kind of the situation that you're in right now. So, yeah, like I said, it kind of is what it is. But like I said, they were able to grind, produce runs, and get on base, and that's really all that matters. So Mets win this game 8-3. Tyler McGill gets the W. And like I said, the Mets are fortunate enough to win the 3-game series by taking 2-3 from the Pittsburgh Pirates. So now the Mets have other priorities. They are going on the road to face another NL Central team in the St. Louis Cardinals for a 4-game series. Cardinals are a team, like I said, massive disappointment this season. Massive. Yeah, obviously, expectations for the Cardinals were decently high, and they were not able to execute at those expectations by any means. As the St. Louis Cardinals are entering the series 54-67 with a record of 27-34 at home. So there's that with the St. Louis Cardinals. They're a team that's really been struggling. I mean, you look at guys like Wilson Contreras, been a horrible signing for them so far this year. And it's not even just so much Contreras, but Contreras has an effect on the pitching staff being a catcher. A lot of people have been coming out and arguing by saying Contreras has kind of screwed up the Cardinals pitching staff to some sense too. So really Contreras has been a massive disappointment for that Cardinals team. Injuries to the pitching staff has been another thing. But, Goldie and Arenado are, playing well, playing adequate, not MVP caliber in my opinion. But, offensively, this is a team that has also taken a little bit of a dip, I will say. So we'll have to see how that goes for them. But Cardinals are obviously 3-2 in their last 5. Where you take a look at the Mets, similar record, 55-66, so only a game better, with a record of 24-38 on the road. So the Mets do not have the best record when it comes to playing teams on the road. Mets are obviously also 3-2 in their last 5. And pretty much similar season of the Cardinals. Been struggling a lot with pitching. Yeah, I guess that's kind of all you could say with that. But getting things started for the 4-game series starting tonight, 7:15 Eastern Standard. It is a Fox game, so that's going to be phenomenal. Former St. Louis Cardinal will be on the mound for the New York Mets, and Jose Quintana, the southpaw lefty. Quintana, can we please get this dude to win? I mean, he's pitched in 4 games, and he's, quality starts essentially, and he still doesn't win. I don't know what it is, but whenever Quintana pitches, the Mets offense just goes to sleep. So if they could finally get this dude to win, I know win-loss is kind of an irrelevant stat in my opinion, but still, it'd be nice. So see how that goes. Obviously, Quintana, 0-4 in the season. Read in between the lines with that. Look more at these stats. He's a sub-3 ERA, a 1.28 WHIP. Short sample size, but obviously he has pitched 29 2/3 innings pitched, 20 strikeouts. Has yet to give up a home run this season. So knock on wood, 29 2/3 innings pitched without giving up a home run. So, Quintana's definitely been a bulldog for this team. Definitely grinded. Quintana's a really, in my opinion, one of the best number 4 or 5 starters you can get in baseball. He's a guy who's not going to, strike out a lot of guys. He's not going to have these 10, 11, 12 strikeout games. Arguably, he's probably not even going to have 7 or 8 strikeout games. But he's a guy who will just control. He's a control pitcher where he is going to throw the ball to the strike zone and let the defense do the work. Ground balls, pop flies, double plays. And, that's kind of the new, it's kind of an unorthodox pitching style nowadays. Now all these pitchers care about velo, strikeouts, whiff percentage, where Quintana is kind of one of that old school pitcher where he doesn't have the crazy velocity. He's not going to be throwing 99, 100 miles per hour. He's not going to be seeing all these strikeouts and whiffs and all that crazy stuff. He's a guy who has filthy stuff. He has a good, arsenal of pitches and the fastball, the slider, the changeup. He mixes up his pitch as well, but he's just going to throw the ball to the strike zone and get those ground ball outs. He's going to let guys like Lindor, McNeil, Nimmo, Marte, make those guys do the job. So that's the Quintana signing, in my opinion, has been very good. And even next year, if this is a team that is going to compete next year, which hopefully they will, I think Quintana can really be a valuable asset, considering, what he's done so far. I know it's a small sample size, but we'll have to really just kind of see how that goes from now on. And then obviously for the St. Louis Cardinals, they will be having Adam Wainwright, who's really been having an unfortunate year. This is his last year, so kind of sucks to see a Hall of Fame legend go out in cruddy fashion. But hey, you know what? At least you got to finish, right? Wainwright is 3-7 on the season, 8.78 ERA, 2.09 WHIP, and 66 and 2/3 innings pitched. So, not great. I know he started the season late because of injury, but been a pretty rough season for him so far. Heading on into game 2, which is Friday's game, tomorrow night's game at 8:15 Eastern Standard. The New York Mets starter is undecided. Big surprise, this point of the season. And for the St. Louis Cardinals, they will have the lefty southpaw in Zach Thompson. Hit against left-handed pitching, please. I don't ask for much. This team really has high complexities when it comes to hitting off left-handed pitching. It's like 2021 all over again. They can't hit lefties. They cannot hit guys with low velocity. So that will be game 2. Heading on to game 3 of this 3-game series, Saturday's game, which will be a 7:15 Eastern Standard start. Kodai Senga will be on the bump for the Mets. And Senga, has been very dominant for this team this year. One of the few bright spots for this team is Kodai Senga. 9-6 on the season, a 3.30 ERA, a 1.29 WHIP, 122 and 2/3 innings pitched, and 149 strikeouts. Yeah, Senga's a bulldog. I mean, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Kodai Senga this year. Senga is a guy who essentially goes out there and gives you a dominant quality start. Goes forkball mixed in with the fastball, has really, really been a filthy pitch. And the thing is, he's mixing it now more into the strike zone, where even if these guys aren't going to chase at it, it's still going to be rung up as a strike. And, in the beginning of the season, you could see the walks, the control, the command, somewhat of an issue for Senga. But now, you could see by month, by start, by week, the walks, the balls are going down bit by bit, which is very, very big. I want to say July and August were his 2 big months where the walks were pretty much non-existent. Really, my only complaint with Senga is once you get 2 outs, get that 3rd out. We've seen it a decent amount with Senga. It's definitely gotten improved, but he'll get 2 outs and then he'll walk someone, give up a single, walk someone, and it's just, be aggressive, retire that 3rd batter. So it's kind of my only, complaint with Senga, but I'm really not going to complain considering he's been pretty much the ace of this Mets team so far this year. And I can only imagine, if he actually has a rotation built around him, what it could look like. So, that'll be Kodai Senga on the bump for the Mets. Expectations, if he can go 6-7 innings, I think that'd be ideal. And then obviously for the St. Louis Cardinals, they will have Miles Michaelis, who also has been having a rough year. They just signed him to that contract extension out in St. Louis. 6-8 in the season, 4.27 ERA, 1.28 WHIP, 147 and 2/3 innings pitched, 103 strikeouts. Yeah, Mets have faced Michaelis a decent amount. Played good against him, played bad against him. So we will see. But the most recent appearance against the Mets, they were able to beat up on him in 6 innings. They scored 6 runs on 8 hits. So you never know what could happen there. And getting on into game 4 and the final game of this 4-game series, Sunday's game, which will be a 2:15 start. The Mets will have Carlos Carrasco on the bump. And Carrasco obviously 3-6 on the season, 6.40 ERA, 1.62 WHIP, 84 1/3 innings pitched. Carrasco, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Just don't suck. Try and go 4 innings without blowing it up. Simple as that. Anything more is a success. And then for the St. Louis Cardinals, they will have Dakota Hudson, who is somewhat of a bright spot for them so far this year. Only pitched 38 innings, taken out of the bullpen role to put in the starter role, and been actually a decent arm to an extent. So we'll see how that goes. Obviously, taking an examination at this series, obviously, as stated, Wilson Contreras, couple ILs, couple guys on the IL, a lot of day-to-day guys. Nolan Gorman is on the day-to-day, Tommy Edman, Lars Nootbaar, Wilson Contreras. I'm not sure how many of those guys will be activated. Some of them were placed on it yesterday. Some of it were placed on it today. I'm not sure if something happened, but yeah. For the Mets, obviously, Mark Vientos is day-to-day. John Curtis, well, we all know that. Josh Walker was also put on the 15-day IL. So really just Mark Vientos is day-to-day. So we'll see if he's in the lineup tonight. Considering it is a righty, I guarantee you Buck is probably going to want to play him, but if not, he will not. So we will have to see how that goes. So yeah, that is the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals series preview. Ideally, if you can go out there, split it. I think we're at this point of the season, just split it, and I think everyone will be happy. Who knows? They probably won't, but we'll see. So what is going on, everyone? We will get into some comments, questions, and concerns. If any of you guys have any comments, any questions, any concerns, please feel free to drop it in the comment section below, and I will get into it as per always. It's Mets, Yankees, Phillies, Braves, Padres, Twins. Drop it in the comment section below. I know it says Mets talk, but it's really baseball talk. So Ryan, Captain Morgan, Cedric, Strong Island, Cal, Eric, Mark, Alyssa, how's everyone doing? Kobe says, hey, Hayden, what's going on? Dog days of summer is almost over. Indeed it is. Baseball media, what's going on? Love the profile picture, man. He says, Senga can definitely get you a quality outings against the Braves next season. Him and Yamamoto at the top of a rotation could be very lethal. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think when it comes down to it, those are two guys that can definitely be a dominant rotation. Obviously, Yamamoto pitched in Japan, very well known of Kodai Senga, and he's probably going to be a target of the Mets in this free agent market, depending on if the Mets get him, which I am in favor of that. I know Mets front office, Billy Appler, Steve Cohen has expressed a fondness and likeliness in acquiring Yamamoto. But yeah, Yamamoto and Senga, very similar pitchers, have really nasty, filthy, unorthodox stuff that's seen in the MLB. So having those two guys on top could definitely be nice. But building a rotation, you got to build a rotation. You look at it now. You have Senga, Quintana, and I know at this point of the season, Mets fans are really just focused on next year and on this offseason. And I guess kind of the woes of giving up Verlander and Scherzer. Obviously, the pros, you get good prospects back, which I'm in favor of that. Not saying I'm not, but what rotation do you have for next year? You have Kodai Senga, you have Jose Quintana, but that's it. The Mets are not going to bring Carrasco back. I don't know what the future is with Peterson and Miguel. I don't know if they want to put him in the bullpen, if they're going to turn it around, but I'm not going to bank on that. And you cannot bank on that. If you want to make him a 6 starter, an emergency, sure, that's fine. But at this point, I don't have trust in Miguel and Peterson to be a consistent 5 starter. So we will have to see how that goes. Mitch, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate the Mets farm system? Michael says, I'd probably rate it a 7.5. I really would. Mets farm system has really grown. Considering before the deadline, you had before the season started, you had 1 pitcher in the top 10. Now you have 4. Cedric says, I really like Senga. His passion and discipline is superb on the mound. Yeah, I agree, man. GM. Captain Morgan says, people go crazy for teams that are young, homegrown. Look at the 86 Mets, 2006 Mets led by Reyes and Wright, the 15 Mets that vaunted starting pitching. The Mets are going to be a terrific mix of young and homegrown talent starting in 2024. It's exciting. I agree with you 100% on that, Captain Morgan. I think that, you look at a team like the Braves. I think the Braves is an example of that. If you look at a team right now in baseball, half of it's homegrown, half of it's young, half of it's just, the whole team is talented as a whole. But some of them are homegrown, some of them are veterans, some of them are mid-experienced players. So, yeah, we will have to see how that goes. But I agree. And that's what I think really a lot of this fan base likes, is you have your homegrown players in Alonso, in Nimmo, in McNeil. You have guys that were brought in via trade who are still in their prime in guys like Lindor. You have the baby Mets that we discussed, Alvarez, Vientos, Beatty, future is with Mauricio, and then, other guys in the farm system. So, if you mix that talent in and it's a mixture of talent, fans like that. Yeah, no, I'm glad, Ken. Alex says, every win is an adventure for the New York Mets. Yeah, for this season, it pretty much is. Steve Cohen's wallet, what's going on? He says, do we keep Gott for next season? I would not really bank on it. I know with Gott right now, he's still recovering from that injury. I know he had some injury with Seattle prior to getting traded. So, I think that could still be kind of a lingering effect. But like I said, I think at this point, if the Mets are kind of over a quantity over quality approach, then probably they would bring him back. But considering, relievers are guys you have to look at, annually, we'll see. Last 7 innings, he's been looking pretty solid, but, small sample size. Gott's never been this lights out reliever. I mean, if you look at his career dating back to 2015, I mean, he's never been a lights out reliever. Whether he's going to throw 30, 40 innings a year, he's never been a lights out guy. Maybe, I mean, if you look at a possible bullpen next year, you get Diaz back, which is going to be huge. I don't even really need to explain why. But then you mix that in with a possible return of Ottavino and Rayleigh. You have a 7, 8, 9 of, Ottavino, Rayleigh, and Diaz. Maybe I wouldn't be against bringing a guy like Gott in to be like some middle relief arm, to come in certain situations. Nelson says, if I'm the New York Mets this offseason, I would go less on superstars and work more on filling every single possible hole you could fill. Their money has been very poorly. No, I agree with that. Yeah. The way to make a championship team is to have zero weaknesses, not a bunch of pretty names to sell jerseys with a splash of young guys. We could still be legit going into 2024. And Nelson, I agree with you on that 100%. And let me say this one thing that a lot of people around baseball are saying. The Mets can still be competitive next year. You do not. This is what I will say. Steve Cohen and Billy Epler came out and said, we are not going to spend a lot of money. We are not going to go out in the offseason and spend and double and add on to the payroll of Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. We're not going to be going out giving starting pitchers $40 million AAV contracts anymore. That's done. So pretty much what the Mets are saying and what Epler and what Cohen and what the Mets front office has kind of been saying is the Mets are not going to go out in the offseason and spend all this money and go ballistic and add, $100 million on top of the payroll. They're still going to go out and make offseason moves at a lesser value, and that's fine. Like you said, Nelson, they're going to go out and they're not going to sign all these crazy superstars. They're not going to go out and sign the Justin Verlanders and Max Scherzers and Cy Youngs of the world, but they can go out and sign, I guess kind of, I don't want to say an average bat, but a guy who performs at his job that the Mets need. A guy who's able to perform in a situation when the Mets need it. Whether it's a guy like Andrew Chafin, Julio Urias, Jorge Soler, these are guys that are not getting, huge, massive deals. And that's fine. So the Mets can still be competitive without spending, $400 million on a payroll. Ask the Baltimore Orioles that. Ask the Tampa Bay Rays that. Ask the Miami Marlins that. Ask the Chicago Cubs. Just because you don't have expectations doesn't mean you're not going to do anything. I think the biggest thing for this team is the Mets not having high expectations next year is probably one of the biggest things for this team. Because we saw the last, 4 years they had expectations, and how did that go for them? Huge expectations in 2020. Huge expectations in 2021. 2022, okay, sure, that was the 1 year, I'll give it to them. And then 2023. 2019, did they have high expectations? Nope. And look what happened. They got hot in the second half and were like 2 games away from making the wild card. So the Mets not having expectations is probably the best thing. Look at it. Did the Cubs, did the Marlins, did the Orioles, did those teams have expectations to possibly make the playoffs in mid-August? No. So the Mets can still be competitive next year without spending money. Money doesn't win championships. Money can keep you competitive to an extent in certain categories, sure. So, just to kind of rephrase, the Mets are not going to go out this offseason and sign a guy, they're not going to sign John Doe to, a 2-year, $80 million contract. No. But they are going to go out and they are going to sign guys of lesser value, guys that will, be in need of a certain situation, that will be able to contribute to the team and make it a successful ball club. And this is still a competitive team. I mean, you look at this lineup, this is still a competitive lineup. Lindor, Nimmo, McNeil, Alonso, Marte. Some guys are underperforming, sure. The starting pitching, that needs to be addressed. And if it's not, then yeah, we're going to be sitting here having the same conversation of struggling. So we'll see. But I agree with you 100%, Nelson. And pretty much I think that's the Mets mentality this offseason. Is they're going to go out, they're going to sign guys of a lesser value. Like I see a couple people commented in the chat. like your Andrew Chafins, like your Yamamotos, like your, Hunter Renfroes, like your Jorge Solers. That's fine. I'm not asking them to go out and sign, Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander and, Cy Young. No. And Captain Morgan says, if I was the GM, I would sign Yamamoto, Erod, Chafin, sign back D-Rob, Julio Urias, Michael Lorenzen, Jorge Soler, Hunter Renfroe, and Michael Conforto. I would bring Yamamoto in. I would sign Eduardo Rodriguez. I know he has the opt-out, which I have a pretty good feeling he's going to opt out. You sign those two guys, and that could be kind of your good two pitchers right there. It could be like a nice 2-3. I think you could probably argue even 1-2. Chafin, bullpen role. D-Rob, sign him back. Middle relief, setup man. That could be good. Julio Urias, he's been a nice lefty. I mean, you put the season aside, he's had a great career, and I don't know if the Dodgers are going to retain him. I think they kind of want to go younger, kind of give some of their AAA guys more actually time to pitch in the major league. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers let Urias walk, and if the Mets definitely come in and try and look into a deal. And considering his value, he didn't do well this year. That could definitely work in terms of getting him at a lesser value. Michael Lorenzen, yeah, he could be a good starter. He's dominating with Philly now. Just got traded at the deadline. Jorge Soler is a nice bat. I definitely would be in favor of that. He's been crushing in Miami this year, and he's always been a great power bat. I mean, you saw in 2019 he had like 48 home runs with Cincinnati. 2021 power machine. He wasn't great last year, but his power is here. He has power, and that's what I think this Mets lineup needs a lot. You mix that power in with, Alonso, Lindor, and Alvarez. Those are 3 to 4 deadly power bats. And also Hunter Renfroe, Michael Conforto. Those aren't bad. I think like the big three I probably agree with is Yamamoto, Erod, and Soler. Everyone else I wouldn't be against, but those are kind of like my top three, I got to say. Kobe Baxter, what's going on? He says, crazy. 2 years ago, the Mets had one of the best rotations in baseball. Now sitting here in 2023, they have one of the worst. Yeah. Goes to show you, pitching wins championships. And that's just kind of how things go at times. Goes forkball, absolutely. Kobe says, does David Wright have an actual path to the Hall of Fame? Not sure when he's eligible, or will he just be remembered as a Mets great? I'll tell you, if it was an injury, I mean, if he played the 3-4 seasons where he was hurt, yeah, I think he would definitely be a guy near 3,000 hits. Hall of Fame caliber numbers by no means. I think now he definitely has somewhat arguable Hall of Fame numbers. I think he's a Mets Hall of Famer, no doubt. Mets great, no doubt. Maybe he could be a second or third ballot. It's kind of hard because when it comes to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, it's not like what it was. I mean, in my opinion, and not trying to bash it, but a lot of guys are getting into it now that, probably shouldn't be in the same conversation as Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio, whoever. I feel like you have the Hall of Fame and then you have the Hall of very, very, very good. And I feel that's probably what David Wright would fall under, is the Hall of very, very, very good. Let's go. Absolutely, says absolutely, Gio. Alex, what's going on? Alex says, will the Cubs make the playoffs? Yeah, I'll tell you, man. The Chicago Cubs have really came out a surprise this year and have just showing off everyone. Tip of the cap to them, I'll tell you, when I was in Chicago this summer, vibes were good there. Even though they lost the 2 games when I went, vibes were really, really good there. Vibes were really, really good there. I mean, you look at it. Most importantly, number one, Cody Bellinger. I mean, he is back. I mean, Cubs signed him to a 1-year deal, and that's probably the smartest thing. A 1-year deal, prove your value, and look what he's doing. Bellinger's, mashing on base percentage is great. OPS average, he's hitting over 300. OPS is in the high 900s. Bellinger, really figured out that swing. Really shortened up his string. He really shortened up his swing a little bit, and we're seeing the pros and success of doing that. Obviously, he's batting 327. Let's look at Bellinger's stats. So far this year, he's batting 327, OBP at 379, slugging of 554, OPS of 936, OPS plus of 146. 18 home runs, 59 ribbies, 17 stolen bases, which is actually pretty good. Could potentially get the 2020 there. So, Yeah, really tip of the cap to Bellinger. He's been a big part of the Cubs' success lately. And I mean, yeah, it's going to be curious to see what happens with Bellinger in the offseason. We'll get into that more in the offseason. I don't want to talk about that now. But Swanson, Dansby Swanson, they signed him. He's actually been doing very well. He's been hitting for some power, been great defensively. And then just, the other guys in that mix, whether it's Ian Happ, whether it's Christopher Morel, Nico Horner, Seiya Suzuki, just the guys that just come up. They're your average hitters. They're not going to hit like 300, but they'll hit a sub 250, 260, 15 home runs, and they're doing their job. But also pitching has been huge for them. Marcus Stroman, I know he's on the IL, but he's been very dominant for them to start the season. I mean, he's arguably probably in the Cy Young conversation. Guys like Justin Steele, a guy who also is probably going to be in the Cy Young conversation. Nice southpaw lefty. He's up there, one of the league leaders in ERA. You advance more in this rotation. Guys like Kyle Hendricks, his numbers have actually been looking much better. You move on to the bullpen, and then that's where it definitely goes on a lot. But yeah, offensively, this is the team that really has been scoring a lot of runs and producing. Candelario, Horner, Madrigal, Morel, Swanson, Bellinger, Happ, Suzuki. So tip of the cap to them. I mean, you see, you felt for Cubs, you felt for the Cubs fans, and well, I think it's time to say David Ross may maybe seeing October again as a manager. So that'd be really nice. We'll see. YouTube production says yes, and the Reds. Yeah, I think the Reds could definitely make it. Like I said, I mean, there's a possibility that 2 wild cards may come from that division. I think it's unlikely, but yeah, I think the Reds and Cubs could definitely battle it out. Certainly possible. So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes, but we are probably going to get ready to call it a stream here in a couple of minutes. I really do appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's stream as always. Phenomenal stream. Obviously, in today's stream, we went over the New York Mets and the Pittsburgh Pirates series summary. So pretty much summarizing the good, the bad, and the ugly from that series. Then we went over the New York Mets and the St. Louis Cardinals series preview. So pretty much what we can expect going into that series. We went over the Mets farm system, the Mets rest of the season, potential offseason acquisitions. We went over the Chicago Cubs, the Cincinnati Reds, a couple division rivalries, and really just, a lot of other good stuff. So really do appreciate everyone for tuning in. Obviously, please, everyone, give this video a like, comment, subscribe, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel. Yeah, if you are rewatching this on replay, please, everyone, give this video a like, comment, subscribe. Any comments below, please feel free to drop them in the comment section below. And yeah, otherwise, follow me on Twitter at Mets Hayden. One quick little announcement. I will be going back up to school. As you guys know, I go away to college. I go to Stetson University, or as people like to call it, Jacob deGrom School, because that is where deGrom went, along with Corey Kluber and Logan Gilbert. But with that said, I will be going back up to school this weekend, so I will be going live for the most part around the same exact times and stuff. But I will definitely most likely be in a different area, probably my my dorm room or something of the house. You won't be seeing my phenomenal Mets wall. I know I used to be over there, but my computer, my desktop has really been acting up. So I've just been doing a couple streams on my laptop lately. Just so much easier for me to do it on here. It's more accessible. Laptop, the desktop, it'd be really slow doing streams. So yeah, so just quick reminder, I will be going back up to school. So next stream, no doubt, will be in a different location. But yeah, definitely had a great summer. By no means, I know everyone is starting up school again soon. So whether you're in middle school, high school, college, you're an adult or in elementary school, I don't know. Hopefully everyone, good luck back at school, work, whatever people, I guess, do essentially. It's going to be another good year, hopefully. I know, kind of disappointing. I came home this summer looking forward to watching the Mets, and came home May 1st, and immediately, kind of things pretty much went downhill. So, it was disappointing, hoping to come home and watch the Mets have a nice summer, but they kind of said, nah, we're not going to do that. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, otherwise, I really do appreciate everybody for tuning into today's stream as always. LFGM, let's go Mets. Yeah, and otherwise, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Give this video a like, comment, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. I appreciate everybody for tuning into the chat. You guys know who you are. And yeah, let's go Mets. Let's go baseball. Till next time, baseball fans. See ya.